Happy Sunday. It's me, Leslie, Zazoo Plazz, back out in the woods with all the chirping and flying things for my Zazoo Plazz story time. Sunday, May 2nd, 2021. Saw some geese over on the pond when I came out here, so I'm going to post that. It's kind of a magical sort of thing. I'm going to have to start wearing sunscreen and getting some bug spray out here. The woods are starting to teem with life. TEEM, for those of you grammar buffs, like my editor, Catherine Cartwright. Shout out to her. She posted my book this week. And yeah, she's still recovering from editing Zazoo Plazz, the first draft. Ah! So if anybody out there needs a good editor, she's the best. She took the time to really read my book, and not only did she correct all of my little dashes and things, which there were thousands. I like dashes and M's or something like that. I don't know. I just throw them everywhere. She didn't miss one. And then she also made some suggestions about the flow of my book, which, you know, like they say, there's no great writing, only great rewriting. So, you know, any of the liberties that you've seen taken are my own. I decided to keep some things in there to preserve the essence of Zazoo and the flow, you know. I didn't want it to be too perfect, because I'm not perfect, so I wanted to be real. So I read over and I say, oh gee, I missed it, you know, a couple of dashes here, that should be this, that should be that. There's a heading, the title, whatever. But I myself used to be an editor. And that kind of brings me around to, you know, in the book, it was Mr. Greer's birthday on April 30th. He would have been, 84, same as my dad, I guess. I don't, if I'm not wrong about that. So I was thinking about him and other Taurians that I've known, and various situations, some that I bring up in the book, some I'm going to bring up in future books. I'll give just a taste. But today, you know, like I said, sometimes usually I start my Sundays with the readings, the Bible, the gospel readings, and at least. And today's was Jesus saying that those who aren't, I'm paraphrasing here, those who are not in him are like branches to be tossed in the fire, you know, rather than branches that are bearing fruit. And that's an imagery I use toward the end of the book, in regard to my grandmother, Granny. You know, hers the sturdy branch from which all the little twigs would sprout and have yet to sprout in the future. So I kind of like that image. Yes, here I'm surrounded by trees. I think this is a birch that I'm leaning up against here. It's a skinny, more of a pale colored tree with like horizontal lines, bark. Just like Dee Dee, my dog. So I thought that was ironic because reading about branches being tossed in the fire, I woke up this morning, it was fairly early, and my son Jack almost ran me over, and I said, where are you going to a fire? He said, yeah, I'm going to a fire. He was going to a fire. My husband and I looked at each other as he saw him speeding away down the street. We're like, hope he doesn't get pulled over, you know, because he was going to a fire. We've often said, well, we should put a pole down through the foyer of our house so he could just slide from his bedroom. He could just slide into his boots and go. But he did go to a fire, and it was a brush fire. You can't make this stuff up. It was somebody in the back of a restaurant who had tossed something, and it caught fire with some old leaves and things, branches, and so the fire department had to come out. So that's how my day started today, and I said, well, here we go. So it's also my half birthday, May 2nd. It's exactly 6 months since my birthday. Wow. Now I don't formally celebrate this, just the kind of thing I go, yeah, what am I going to do with the next 6 months until my actual birthday? Kind of a check-in point, a little rest, maybe like a rest stop on the highway, pull over, some water, look around, have a walk, stretch your legs before you get back on the highway, right? Hotel California. Here's shimmering light off in the distance. We know how that song went. And around this time that song was out, well, a little bit later, this happened. This is called a May procession. Now, I went to Catholic middle school. Let me just set the scene for this. And in the town where I grew up, it was St. Christopher, and they've since closed. And there used to be a church and the school. They had a school attached that was grades 5 through 8, and that's where I went to junior high, middle school. And it was funded by the parishioners. And I had some great years there. They had a pastor, and they had nuns teaching us, sisters. And every May, the 8th grade girls would do a procession, and they'd pick one 8th grade girl to be the May Queen. And my year came up, and I go, I've been getting ready for this. Who's going to be the May Queen? Well, it was this girl, SK, who I went through all the way from elementary, all the way through high school. And I think she moved away to like West Virginia or something. But she, those kids that you're in school like your whole life with. So she got to be, where is she? Oh, she's here. There she is with her flowers and the crown. She was, pretty, very pretty May Queen. She got to wear white. See, the rest of us, I'm wearing sort of a cream. Here I am with my head down, my curly hair, and my big floppy hat. I'm like, it's sort of an ecru, sort of peach. It was cream with like little flowers around the waist and the neck, which was the style back then. And the hats were kind of cool. They had ribbons on them. See, and there's my friend and my friends. Well, they're all of us. Some of us were cheerleaders, and some of the other girls were like in the drill team or something like that. But these few of us were on the cheerleading team, as was the Queen. So there was that, and and they had the band playing. The whole school would come out, and everybody would pay homage to Mary, and it was kind of like a big deal. And I thought about that today. Just one of those things. And anyone who's been to a Catholic school will understand. Like, everybody's name was Mary something, or something Mary, or Marie, or Anne. It was something. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to be the May Queen. kind of like that old saying about being, always a bridesmaid or whatever. So what happened was, talking about Mr. Greer, every year he would do the play Our Town. We read the book, and I think we went to high school. And Mr. Greer would pick one girl to play Emily getting married, Emily in the book. And I said, oh yeah, for sure, this time I'm going to get it. Guess who got to be Emily getting married? SK. And I said, wow, she's really getting a lot of mileage out of that white dress. No white dresses for me. Yeah, no, I got to wear black. I get to be dead Emily, right? So I was, I was born in the day of All Souls, so I guess that's kind of appropriate. And black is slimming. So I started thinking, yes, we can aim high. But, well, it's getting windy. But sometimes we have these romantic notions that really don't serve us. They just serve to keep us in a lower place where we compare ourselves to other people. A birch to an oak, she wouldn't have looked up, let's just say SK looked really good in white. She was kind of like a Jennifer Aniston type, like just beautiful hair and stuff, and like a mole, like Cindy Crawford, like right there, and so that was perfect for her. She was that type of girl, popular, everybody liked her. And then there was me, most likely to be leaning against a tree at age 55 and a half, talking to herself on a phone, and playing dead Emily in Our Town. But since that time, since high school, I started thinking, it's not such a bad thing, because think about it. The wedding scene in Our Town was pretty short compared to dead Emily's scene in the graveyard, and that lasted eternity, right? So I got a way bigger role. So, aiming higher doesn't mean that you you have these romantic notions, like I'm going to get married and live happily forever, and then nothing's going to, that's setting yourself up for, disappointment, right? If you have a sense of being, I know this is going to probably sound cliche, but when you say, too often we settle. For example, I guess I'm holding this up today. So this is what happened, to illustrate. Last week, I realized, they have these cool photo scanners, right? We got a bonus check from the universe in the mail, from taxes that we were owed. And so I said, you know what? We should get a photo scanner. One of those cool ones that you put all the photos in, and it goes, scans them all, and you can get them out of the stupid photo albums where they're, stuck. And so I said to my husband, yeah, check this out. He says, you can do a lot better. I mean, it's pretty expensive. He says, the photo quality is not that great because it's so fast. He said, if you're going to, be using these photos in your business, we want to print them out, we want to make posters, we want to put them in books, we need a better quality, right? So he said, let's take a look at this and really determine, should we rent something? Should we get something that's the highest quality? And I was shocked, because I was thinking, here I am saying, I I don't want to spend too much money. I don't want to, you know, and yet I need to be thinking big. I need to be thinking long term. I'm going to need I've got some great photos and stories to go along with them. So you got me thinking, like, that's what I mean. In other words, don't think short term. Don't think, oh, I want to be the May Queen. And then what, right? You want to think eternity. And the whole thing about comparing yourself, I had this really great thought, which was, everything is blooming. In our yard, we have a beautiful pear tree that's tall and it blooms in April, and beautiful white flowers, and then the lilac bush, and it smells intoxicating, and it wipes you up, sweeps you off your feet. And then we have this little inconspicuous bush off to the side. In the spring, it's not any great shakes. It's kind of just sitting there, green leaves, beep, 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 I'm here. But then, when you get to late October, early November, it turns into the burning bush. You see where I'm going with this, right? I didn't even until this point. I'm just trying to stay upright here. Oh, I gotta stretch. Okay. See? I'm not stretching up to my full height, so I'm gonna do that now. Oh. Good. So, see the thing? If you're scooching down, you're not standing to your full height. You're not being as tall as you could be. You're not thinking long enough term, right? Hi. Oh, that's better. So, in the fall, as I was saying, this bush, now I feel like I'm too far away from you. Here we go. Next week I'm going to have a solution to this problem. So, in the fall, this bush bursts into flame, and it's the most incredible thing you've ever seen. It's orange and bright red, and it takes your breath away. But you have to wait the whole year to see it. Kind of like me, I went along, and when I was young, I was there. I was blooming, but not full bloom. I was I was laying the roots. I was getting ready for my big moment in the spotlight. Right? I was a late blooming post-boomer. And I'm using that term, post-boomer, because it's accurate. For those of us born in 1965, we're right in the edge. And I'm always yelling at the TV because they're running all these these ads for like, oh, if you weren't born yesterday, and then they're putting like, oh, there's a plane right there. Hi. You can see the numbers on the plane. And they're like putting 1965 on there. I'm like, I'm not going to get like the cellular company for people who need phones with big letters, big numbers. Nori from work, she used to have one of those. She had a jitterbug. Like her mom. She bought one for her mom, and she bought one. Was it a jitterbug? Something like, when they had those flip phones and something like that, or ladybug or something like that. So, anyway, so, in other words, each one of us can be like the burning bush. We each, whether we're a lilac or a forsythia or a burning bush or even an evergreen, we all have that moment in life when it's like people can't help but stop and just look at us with their mouths open, because that is what happens when you're finally living true the highest for yourself. It's hard to explain this, but if you spend your time looking outside for someone to make your fairy tale come true, you're missing all the good stuff that's going on in here. And it's like reminds me of a sign my mother-in-law has in her kitchen, in regard to, I got dirt on my new pants. Got little zippers at the bottom. They're really cool. She has this sign, says, "Kissin' don't last, good cookin' do." Or does. And I've thought about that for many years because it's been in the same place in her kitchen for that long. And when I first got married, I was like, no, that's not true. And now I'm like, yeah, that's true. At least we got good cooking in my house. But the pandemic has cut back on the kissing a little bit. But I still hold out hope. Now that everybody's getting back out there. Anyway. So, in other words, if you start to shine, if you start to really figure out what it is that, makes you, float almost. I was looking at the picture of Zazoo on the front of the book the other day. I have a big poster in my bedroom. And I noticed that her feet are raised up a little bit from the earth. Just a little, because there's shadows under her feet. And I never noticed that before. I said, she's levitating. She's a little bit off the earth. And the dog has one paw lifted, And I said, okay, I gotta mention that this week because that totally supports my story here, what I'm trying to say. In other words, if you lift it a little bit off the ground, other people around you are going to respond to that. They might not know at first how to respond, but they will be lifted up and they're going to start changing, which is happening already at my house. My husband, in the 24 years we've been in our house, he never put like a one of those black liners around the rhododendron bush in our front yard. Saturday morning, he's out there. My son said, "Dad, it really looks bad." So he's out there cleaning out all the dead leaves and gouging, underneath the rhododendron bush, and it looks fantabulous. It looks wonderful. And he's totally covered in dirt, but he did it. I mean, our front of our house looks never better. He's washing the mold off the little house in the back where we store the lawnmower, and he's like getting ready for, Jack's graduation. So we're making plans. I don't know, he might have some of his friends over, maybe a couple of family, but it's like motivating him to fix up the house. So all these things in my fairy tale, mind that I want, I was going about totally the wrong way, If you find yourself saying, oh, I want this to happen, I want it to happen now, which is usually how I feel, instead of waiting for things to flow effortlessly, I would be like making lists, posting the list up there. I'd say, what are you doing? You should be doing it. Honeydew, right? Get the honeydew list out. Never worked. But when I said, you know what? I'm going to focus my efforts and become, so I clean my stuff. I started selling things. I started cleaning my world, a corner of my world, and doing this. Because I was motivated by doing this, by doing Zazoo Plazz, right? All of a sudden, everybody around me started rising up to meet me. It's like, you know that themed An Officer and a Gentleman, that movie from the early 80s? You know what I'm talking about, where Richard Gere comes in and sweeps Deborah Winger off her feet and carries her out of the out of the factory. Okay, if you grew up when I did, like, mostly women, I was like, oh man, that's what I want. I want somebody to come take me out of the factory and take me off. Somebody in a, snazzy uniform or something, handsome. Which he did do, my husband. I was thinking, compared to my parents, who I think of as very practical people. I don't remember my dad buying my mom roses or anything like that, or gushy, mushy cards. Maybe they did all that before I came along. But my husband, he's one. He's a pretty romantic guy. Like, he knows just the right, like, he worked out the proposal. He was going to propose to me. Went up to Montreal, and there was this building that had a big Q on it. And we could see it from my room. And that's where he proposed, right, on New Year's, the early hours, the early minutes of New Year's 1995, like right at midnight. And I was looking at the Q, and he said he was going to propose to me where there were trees. And he brought this little tiny Christmas tree. He set it up on the floor. He had hidden the ring because he knew that I was snooping around looking. So he brought that out. Anyway, there's more stories of those to come. But anyway, after a while, you forget about all those things. You forget. And you start to feel kind of like, but you can get there again. The feeling of excitement comes from within, and it goes away. It lifts us up where we belong. Da, 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 like the eagles fly. Okay, I'm not going to sing. I better go now. But anyway, on the mountain high, go listen to that song. It's schmaltzy. It's, kids today would think that it was hokey, but I haven't thought about it in all these years until just today. There must be some reason. Is it Richard Gere's birthday, or no? I think that's over. I don't know. But anyway, all right, yapped enough for today, and I'm ready for Mother's Day next week. I get all my plans made. I've never been this ready for Mother's Day. Got the cards in the mail. The lipsticks bought for the moms, including myself. So I hope you have a beautiful week, and I hope it's blooming where you are, and that you're lifted up this week, and that you lift others up. Until next week, Zazoo Plazz, signing out. Bye-bye.